Now tell us about your early childhood, some of your early memories, what you did on the farm.
Okay. Well, we, of course, lived in Sorrento for the first 7 years of my life, and it was a little house not far from school, so we walked to school. My older sister, of course, was with me, and
Her name?
that was Damaris Louise Spangeman Pinkstaff, and she was born in 1937, February 27th. And so I was lucky to have her, you know, lead the way for me for all the years that we were in school. Um, as I was starting to say about the food and stuff during that time, my dad had a job where he was on a leak gang fixing oil leaks for Marathon Oil Company, and he worked at night and slept in the daytime. So we had to be extremely quiet because he was kind of a light sleeper, and we just kind of had to play quietly if we were home from school or anything. And the thing that mother used to fix us to eat during those years was potato soup, and I always put bread in my potato soup. And, I remember one day when I was at school in first grade, we had rain, and for some reason we had to go out to the well to get a drink. We had fountains inside the school, but for some reason they just, either weren't working or they told us, if you want a drink, take your cup, your tin cup, and go out and get a drink at the well. So I walked in water that was standing on a sidewalk, and of course my mother, when I got home, she said, "Why are your shoes so wet?" And I only had one pair because there were shortages in those days, that if you had a pair of shoes, that was good because you didn't have two pair. And she was so mad at me for ruining a pair of shoes that weren't even made of leather. They were some kind of composition stuff. She made all of our clothes, and they were made out of some kind of cotton, whatever she could get. Sometimes feed sacks, that grandma got from the feed store, and they were pretty prints, but you had to have at least two to make a dress for a little girl. And but one of the memories I do have from that time, my sister was in third grade, Damaris, and we had all had injections for diphtheria, tetanus, and, well, I don't suppose whooping cough was in that one because we'd already had whooping cough when I was really young. So, but anyway, all three of us had those vaccines, and for some reason Dee got a very bad batch, and she came down with diphtheria, and she was very sick. The churches, her name was on the prayer list because they didn't, they thought she might die. In fact, she would be in bed in the darkened room, and I'd be in there, and Mom would come in, and she'd say, "You better get out of here. She's sick." And anyway, the other thing I remember that we had a big red sign on the outside of our house that said quarantined, and the Iceman, we had an ice box on the back porch, which lots of people had an ice box like that in those days. The Iceman would bring the ice, and my dad had to go out in the street to get it because he was not allowed to come to the house. But she did recover, but it was really, she was very thin for all that summer. But she got a bicycle, a nice big two-wheeler, and she took her a while to learn because she was kind of weak, and but I learned at 5 years old to ride that 20, whatever it was, 24-inch bicycle. And always loved riding a bicycle since then. But
What about your other sister?
my other sister was born in June 10, 1944. And of course, my dad, of course, was looking forward to having at least one son. Well, she ended up to be a girl too. And so.
What did they name her?
Her name is Ruth Ellen Spangeman Jack Vaughn. And anyway, I helped name her because we had the books, Dick and Jane and Sally, and I just said I wanted her to be, and there were friends in that book. Ellen was, so I wanted her to be named Ellen. So she is, and she was named after a friend of Mom and Dad's in town. So Ruth Ellen, and so it wasn't too long after she was born that we moved to the country, and it was a really nice old farm.
Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay.